We're talking the Ferengi rules governing trade on this edition of...
Yeah, it's the best five, worst five, know what I mean? Yeah, it's the best five, worst five tracks ever seen.
Today, our entries about the Ferengi Rules of Acquisition are ranked based on their apparent usefulness in 24th and 25th century galactic trade. This is the first time we're considering beta-canon entries such as from books and Trek video games, because they make the rules much more expansive. Per the usual, starting with the fifth worst. Positive affirmations. The 88th rule states, "It ain't over till it's over," which really is a line from Yogi Berra uttered by Faux Bukbo Kai in If Witches Were Horses. This feels like a meaningless positive quote that could have been uttered by Katiha. I don't know what it is or what constitutes being over, but this feels like a filler entry to fill out the rules of acquisition. Number 4. Unstable relationships. The 21st rule says never place friendship above profit. While this rule may have worked in purely Ferengi society before becoming warp-capable, as a galactic power, making friendships among the stars can be the backbone of great trade relationships. In a part of the galaxy where replicators are common, trying to sell goods requires extra trust and friendship. Number 3. Yankee traders. The 52nd rule states, never ask when you can take. We've seen this rule play out a few times in Trek, but it appears that by the mid-24th century, the groups outright stealing from other galactic factions have been disavowed by the Ferengi Alliance. On the galactic stage, if you get a reputation for theft, you're tainting the perspective of the entire race, and the overall goal of profit won't always be there. Number 2. Chauvinistic foundation. While there are a bunch of rules that are downright sexist, the one that stands out most is number 94. Females and finance don't mix. From an outside perspective, not only is this just terribly misogynistic, from the perspective of the Ferengi, this rule was shown by the end of DS9 to have actually held the Alliance back from its full potential of profits by not tapping half its population as a resource. They really shot themselves in the ear on this one. And the worst rule of acquisition? Number 1. Carnival prizes. Rule number 82 proclaims, the flimsier the product, the higher the price. I get the underlying greedy-sounding nature of this one, but again, in a galactic quadrant awash in replicator technology, I can't imagine that there's many real ways for this rule to pay off. Customers in this environment are more likely to only pay for goods that are better quality than they can get for free or with energy credits. It's a good thing Tom was there to stop Harry from falling into this rule. Trading up to the best of the rules of acquisition. Rule number 44 advises to never confuse wisdom with luck. Quark multiple times has profited by failing upwards, thinking he's a great legitimate businessman, meanwhile wondering why some of his ventures fail. He doesn't seem to have learned from his mistakes while getting into some lucky windfalls. Number 4. Backup plan. The highest numbered entry on this list, Rule 243, warns, always leave yourself an out. For a race that's used to underhanded dealings and flimsy merchandise, it's smart to always have a way to either escape or back out of the deal if it goes south. Quark's usual go-to was to blame his bad business practices on his brother Rom, though there were times when he and other Ferengi clearly failed to come up with a plan B. Number 3. Delicate balance. Rule number 190 smartly posits, hear all, trust nothing. An overall smart rule of business in general. See everything going on, present an air of trust, but silently trust no one or anything you see. Rumors and speculation can lead to great profits, but you have to tease out the falsehoods to avoid the shoals of bankruptcy. Number 2. Only thing that truly matters. Rule number 125 states, you can't make a deal if you're dead. This may seem obvious, but in many depictions of the Ferengi, they often bite off more than they can chew in a quest for expansion and profit. This one closely ties in with Rule 23. Nothing's more important than your health, except your money. Though, even when a Ferengi does die, there is still one more deal to be made for their desiccated remains. And the best out of 285 known sanctioned rules of acquisition? Plainly obvious. Early on in the book, Rule 2 tells us, The best deal is the one that brings the most profit. This is the single sentence that perfectly encapsulates the overall driving force in Ferengi society. While we've seen outliers and times when even Quark did the right thing over the more profitable one, this is indisputably the most useful rule for a Ferengi in the mid-24th through early 25th centuries. What's your favorite rule of acquisition?